Good evening. Have one time today. God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Irma Jane Spirit Divine. I'm here to give you a little short news on today. Um, First we're gonna start off with Social Security. You know, a new bill could be bumping for Social Security increase. Increase for Social Security. The beneficiary of Social Security is retirement benefits. Their payment as soon as the bill get ready. They're getting it ready for next year. So the new Social Security payment um probably be $4,194. You know, I don't know. They were still working on it. So for United States retirement, Social Security prepares to send. See, that's what I'm saying. They have different payments. Now this one for disability on 1,800 a month. Pensions. So COLA increase will cause thousands of Americans to lose Social Security and taxes. So for y'all to get an increase, you're gonna get an increase for Social Security, but you got to look out. They may you may have to start have charge you for taxes. And then citizens gonna have to be filing for income tax. Um so quota is the increase that would cost thousands of Americans. To lose Social Security and taxes. So all of this is for the inflation. In the United States is winking on the finance, stability, many social security beneficial, so the mismatch between price increase and pension means that people in retirement, cannot afford all the payment, yeah, so when the increase go up for Social Security, that means their payment's gonna go up. So I mean, they're gonna be taking more money out of our paycheck to have their big income for when you do you know, try to apply for your Social Security. Because the working people, so don't have is not at the age now to receive your Social Security, but we gonna get the decrease and them taking Social Security out to afford to give us that payment for Social Security. So so that's what they're saying for retirement. And that's what they're saying. We ain't gonna be able to afford that. We already struggling with the income that we making, but then they're gonna make they're gonna have a decrease in our paycheck for to have the big lump sum for Social Security. So that's people in retirement cannot afford it. Cannot afford it. We bad at making ends meet with all the taxes that's being taken out of our check now. So for us to get that big lump sum for Social Security, it's gonna be a decrease in your own for the people that are still working. You know, so workers, and that's what I was just talking about. The workers, the workers on the other hand have some advantages in this problem, as they can get a cash increase in their paycheck. You know, well they say we're gonna get a cash increase in our paycheck on a monthly basis. Okay, so that sounds like a good thing for the workers. Said the workers, on the other hand, have some advantages in this problem, as they can get a cash, increase in their paycheck on a monthly basis. So retirement can only get extra money in their Social Security through COLA, which is done on an annual basis. So the people that working and the ones that retire, because see, if you retire, you automatically is getting certain amount of money taken out your check, and then for them to take another decrease out of your check for the Social Security, that's why they're saying you probably won't be able to afford to do it. Now, regular workers that don't have retirement plan, you know, will be able to get the increase, but they said the retirement won't be able to afford to pay for it because it already is getting retirement taken out of their check to receive that when they retire. So the new bill for senior citizen would be entitled to an extra $200 in a pension at the time it is finally passed. So it would be a great advantage for all the pension with Social Security as they will gain some purchasing power in the fear of inflation. So they're still trying to come up with the health equation. So this was the one of the ideas that they came up with. So although it is true that the bill purpose is to charge taxes, starting at 250,000. That is there a widow from $147, window from $147 to $250, where no extra taxes will have to be taken out. So they're still working everything out. Because they were saying if they do get a big lump sum, then they got to start paying taxes on it. So to be paid. So there are very few people in the United States who receive such a high salary, but the benefits to retire would be numerous. And the biggest difference between the COLA and this new bill is that the COLA is mandatory on an annual basis, no matter no matter how much a little money it raises. On the other hand, this bill is not made with the idea of matching Social Security retirement benefit with inflation. But to make citizens happy, have more money for their general expenses. And see that's what it is. So one who gets Social Security, and they have rent and they have bills, they don't have too much money to shop. So that's why they come out with idea where everyone will be able to shop the increase the build up the inflation. Because once they get a monthly check and they have to pay everything out. And it's hard for us too. We don't get a monthly check, but still working people, we still have so many bills to pay. We have to squeeze stuff in to shop. And that's how the ones get a monthly check. So that's why they're trying to get them an increase. So they can start shopping, spending money. Because too many people, it's not spending the kind of money that we used to spend back then. We used to go in the mall. We used to have a long line all outside the hallway and stuff. You don't see none of that no more. Because everything is so tight right now. You gotta fold up the gas money and put it on the side to keep it intact to pay the gas. Now some of the stations have went down on the gas, you know, but everything is so tight right now, especially the ones who get a check every month. It's real tight because once they spend all that, they gotta wait a whole another month, for another check. So I think that's a good idea to do that to help them because um they spend, they pay their bills, and then they still have household expenses and all this kind of stuff to spend. So they pretty much don't have money to go in the mall and shop, go to the furniture store, or do any of those things when everything is so tight. So I think that's a good idea that they came up with that, even though they might have to pay uh, um, taxes, but they're still working the putting all the pieces together for all that. So the biggest difference between the COLA and this new bill is that COLA is mandatory on annual basis, no matter how much or little money it raises. On the other hand, this bill is not made with the idea of matching Social Security retirement, benefits with inflation, but to make senators have more money for their general expenses. So I think that's a good idea that came up with that. Because a lot of elders is they're spending all their money paying bills and getting household stuff and don't have too much of it, expenses, you know, money to buy other stuff, you know. So I think that's a good idea that they came up with a new bill, that's working will be working for 2023. So an increase of Social Security for retirement and disability. The biggest increase you may lose in Social Security is taxes. So that's the part they're working on, because you get a big lump sum, they're gonna feel like that's an income, and so you're gonna may have to pay taxes on that, so all help, all this here is helping the inflation, which is a good thing, so have the advantages of cash increase of spending. So all sound good, but elders will have to be charged with taxes. So I hope they can come up with something else, so they will have to be, filling out income taxes and stuff, so and their children gonna have to help them, fill all those things out. So I hope they can come up with another idea with that part for the elders, because they would have to get the children to help them fill them papers out and try to get that done when they were done with that long time ago when they finished school. I mean, their job, when they retired from their job, you know. But it's a good idea that y'all came up with that, because the Social Security, the few that get the Social Security do need an increase, so for more spending for daily accessories, and you know their furniture and stuff go worn out, and wherever the family, their children have to go and try to buy that stuff for them. Because they get an income, their furniture break or whatever, their money is counted for the whole month. So they won't have, they'll have to go to family members to get them another bedroom set, to get them another stove, the stove go out, stuff, these things like this here. So I think this increase that you came up with is a good idea, and it'll help them out. Even though it's gonna be a big lump sum, and they might have to pay taxes, but y'all say y'all still working it out and putting pieces together. So I think that's a good idea. So now we're gonna talk about the Carnival cruise. You know, so they're having issues with the curfew for teenagers on a cruise. So Carnival Cruise Line now require adult supervision for passengers, who are under certain age and wants to stay out all night long and stuff like that. So that the Carnival, have to come out with some kind of curfew. So Carnival Cruise Line passengers agreed that 17-year-old or under are no longer allowed to explore the ship after 1 o'clock in the morning, without adult supervision. And I wish, that's a good idea, and 1 o'clock in the morning is still too late for a teenager to be out, but a representative for the International Cruise Line confirmed the guidelines, that's charged. The U curfew guests 17 years old or under, who are not accompanied, by any adult, and they're traveling, you know, 21 years old of age is clear. 21 or 8, anything that's 17 on down, they have to be with a supervision if they catch them out walking around or in a club, at their age under 17 years old. So each evening, unless they're involved in a club to a cycle or team activity. Carnival new guidance, company mind guest policy. So that's their new policy now. So I guess they've been seeing too many teenagers out, that time of morning. So Carnival Cruise Lines now has um uh at 1 o'clock a.m. curfew curfew for passengers age 17 and under. So this guideline is consistent and with their commitment to safety, and which it is, because you don't want no child on a cruise being missing or being harmed in any kind of way, so they only looking out for your child for safety. So the team must proceed to their stateroom unless they are accompanied by their parents or guardian, and which is true. They should be with their parent. No teenager under 17 years old should be without their parent at a certain time. So I agree that there should be a curfew, for teenagers that's 17 years old or under. unless they are with their guardians. So for their safety, things happen quickly. Things happen quickly, but right before your eyes. You can leave them there for 2 or 3 minutes and come back, they're gone. So this is only for their protection, for their safety. So right before your eyes, you know, you never know who is watching them at that moment. Because these days, men not watching ladies too much; they're watching a teenager. So you got to be careful and be mindful of your teenager. So I advise if all parents keep an eye on your teen on a cruise. It's at 17 years or under. Please keep an eye on your teen. So apply apply the guidelines. For all your teenagers, for your cruise, for all of them to be safe, only for them to be safe. Because remember that, 'cause a lot of time, the ship is so big, you don't know what gonna happen. You think that child 17 years old can defend herself, but they can't defend themselves with an adult. So you want to be careful. You want to be mindful that anything can happen in a second. So I try to apply to their guidelines because it's only safety for your child. So we're gonna talk about the tropical storm, Fiona. They will continue to monitor tropical storm Fiona. Later on, the forecast as of Friday morning showed that Fiona will continue it westward. More movement over the northern Leeward Island. Now today, bringing gusty winds and heavy rains to those islands, it's continued to move west over to Corbin. You know, through the weekend. Now, sometime on Monday, models, are in agreement that it make a west northwestern turn near on over hit Pelona, turn near it's likely that it'll move into the Gulf of Mexico. Excuse me, my voice is stumbling right now. So in agreement that it make a west northwesterly turn near on over Hispaniola, it's look like it's unlikely that it move into the Gulf of Mexico. So the storm phenomenon is still the only named system for our season for right now. You know, so that's the news on the tropical storm, and we also talk about Social Security. Because a lot of elders, all the expenses go on their bills and trying to keep our supplies and everything in their house. So they're trying to come up with an increase for Social Security so they can have more extra on spending money for accessory. So I think that's a good idea because you have to realize they're elders and sometimes if their stove break, their washing machine break, you know, um, they have to go to the children or to a family member to help them buy these things again. So I think that's a good idea. To give them extra, money to shop and furniture stores and shopping malls. So a lot of elders shop online, but they still have a lot shop in the mall also. So I think that'll be a good idea to help, but it's not. You probably won't work too good for retirement. Because retirement already getting a lump sum out there check for the retirement. And for you to get this big lump sum for Social Security, they will have to start taking money out of your check for that. And that's why they said the ones that retirement won't be able to afford to do it, because they're already getting lump sum out for their retirement check. And so for to take that lump out for Social Security, they're gonna hit them too hard. But if you don't have a retirement plan, so you'll be getting the extra money, you know. Um so all this is helping for the inflation, and I think it's a good idea that came up with that. So because the malls is not being packed no more like it used. At one time, we used to go to the mall, we used to have a long line in the hallway. You know, so you don't have none of that going on no more because everything is so tight. You know, you got to squeeze and put gas money on the side, you know, but you just got to find the right gas station because some of the gas station, the price has went down, you know. So we did talk about the Social Security going to give an increase, you know, a big old lump sum for Social Security. You know, so we also talk about the cruise. You know, they have so many teenagers just wandering around past 1 o'clock in the morning. You know, so they came up with a policy for new guidelines for teenagers that's on a cruise. You know, that from 17 years on down under to have to be in their room by 1 o'clock in before 1 o'clock in the morning. You know, they don't want no one out after 1 o'clock in the morning unless you with your parents or guardians. You know, so they don't want to see no one running around at that time of morning if you 17 years old under. Now you 21 years old, you're fine. You know, 21 years old is fine. But they come up with the guidelines, you know, because it's only for your safety. Not trying to be mean, it's only for your safety, you know, because things happen so quickly, you know, and they're just trying to protect you, you know, because you own their property and they're trying to make sure everyone is safe. You know, so we also talk about the storm, you know, and too much going on right now, but just like heading on to Mexico, you know, and Filome is the only stone with the name in the system right now. You know, so you just season here been kind of slow. You know, Filome had did form for a little while. You know, but it's not strength enough for a land call. You know, so everything at a standstill right now. Everything is looking good for right now. They're gonna continue on monitoring on everything and look like we about to get through this with flying colors. You know, because we have what 2 more months in November. Hurricane season will be over with. You know, if Heavenly Father says so. You know, so we're just gonna enjoy this here, you know, cause this gonna be the first year we can remember this here. You know, we had a easy hurricane season. You know, so we're just gonna keep on taking this in, and they're gonna keep on monitoring everything and see how everything goes. And with Fiona, see she is moving around, trying to go towards Gulf of Mexico. You know, so they're monitoring that and see how that go. So that's all the show news I have for you on today. And I'll see y'all on the next video. Have a blessed day.